Guess it's 4. How you doing?
It's work session, it'll say WS.
Okay, ready. Let's go ahead and call the Capital Investment Committee meeting to order. The first item on the agenda, or actually the second item on the agenda, is election of chairman and vice chairman. I'll open the floor for nominations. Anyone want to make a motion?
I will motion that Clyde Thornhill become the chairman of the CIC committee.
Proper motion. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Proper motion is second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Vice chairman.
I move that Pearl Ransford be vice chairman.
Proper motion. I'll second that. And all in favor of that nomination indicate by saying aye. Aye. The new chairman and vice chairman are yours truly and Pearl.
All right.
Item 3, approved minutes of October the 13th, 2011. Hope everyone's had a chance to read those minutes. I have. I did not see anything that I would change on those minutes. If
Mr. Chairman, I move a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 4, consideration of change order number 1 final for the Bakers Bridge Avenue Carruthers Parkway pedestrian traffic signalization project. City of Franklin contract number 20110006 for a decrease in the contract amount of $10,942.50. Mr. Parker, you're up.
You awarded a contract with S&W for this project in the amount of $25,647.50, and the final work that they will be doing is $14,705. So we have a deduct then in this, and to close the project out, of course, as you're well aware, we have to go through a change order approval process, and we recommend that approve this.
I move for approval.
I will second that.
Proper motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 5, consideration of change order number 1 for the Harpeth River Greenway project with BBC and Company, City of Franklin contract 20110043.
BVG.
Is it BVG?
BVC.
It's
BBC is right.
I've been calling it G. Okay, I've been wrong.
BBC.
BBC, so the caption is right.
If you recall, we had to do some additional testing, which has kept the project from being completed in the original contract time. Working with the contractor, we feel that this is an appropriate time extension. There is no additional request for funds. So it'd just be a time extension of 46 days.
I will move approval of the recommendation.
Second.
Proper motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 6, consideration of change order number 1 final for the Mallory Station Road and General George Patton Duke Drive traffic signal installation project. City of Franklin contract 2010-0182 for an increase in the contract amount of $13,815.87. Mr. Parker again.
This increase is due to when Mallory Station Road was built, we built in some concrete, I forgot exactly what we called them, but it went across the intersection, pads basically, for water transference. And when we was doing this project, it was decided we need to go and take that out because of makes it a smoother transition of the two intersecting roadways, etc. So this is adding the cost to do that particular work that was not originally bid. So
Has it been done?
It has been done. It's the project is complete actually.
What was the
So
cost?
this is the final change order too. It'll set the contract at final as-built conditions.
So what was the final cost?
The
Remember?
final cost was $271,814.17, and I just want to highlight that this was originally budgeted at about $385,000, so we're still substantially
Well
under, even though
There
this
were
is
100,000 under the budget.
an
cost.
increase.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept this or recommend it for approval.
Second.
Proper motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 7, consideration of change order number 3, final for the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, AARA Clean Water Project, Simmons Ridge Sanitary Sewer, Boyd Mill Low Pressure Sewer, and Country Road Low Pressure Sewer, City of Franklin contract number 2009-0098 for a decrease in the contract amount of $56,784.50, and approval for changing the contractor liquidated damages in the amount of $19,000. Mr. Parker.
Just to point out the 2 low-pressure systems, we've already closed out those projects, so this is mainly dealing with the Simmons Ridge project, and that project was completed with as-built conditions of $1,146,359.50, and that ends up being $56,784.50 less than the previously approved construction contract amount of $1.203144 million. So we need to do the final change order as far as setting the as-built price, which would end up being the $1,146,359.50. And then the contract is, as we've been reporting to you, we've had numerous delays in the contract. Some appropriate for adding time extensions, some not. The final adjusted completion date for this project was set at, and this was approved by the board on 2 different change orders, as July 4th, 2011. The actual work was completed and accepted for use on August the 12th, 2011. So we're asking for liquidated damages be charged to the contractor as per the contract of $500 per day for 38 days, and that ends up being a total of $19,000. And staff recommends that we do this.
So the 2 items on here is the decrease in the contract amount of $56,784.50 and the 38-day overrun at $500 a day for $19,000 of liquidated damages.
Correct. And what that does is the final payment will be reduced by that amount of money. We still have monies that they're due, but the final payment will be for that amount of money. This is a contractor, Ms. Martin, and SSR was strictly helping us with inspection services.
This deals with that contractor's.
It does not deal with
SSR this isn't anything to do with them getting paid. They get paid no less or more based on this.
Let me just make a comment here that this completion of this project provides a goal that we all were working toward, the sanitary sewer service east of I-65, so that is
East of I-65, south of 96, yes.
And also that sanitary sewer interceptor.
Yes.
So that's done, it's completed,
It's
it's
complete.
ready.
And that's a regional sewer.
It is, an interceptor is for multiple areas that would be looked at as being developed, Nickel being one of those, Simmons Ridge being the other reason it's called Simmons Ridge.
Sometimes because it has that name, Simmons Ridge, people think it just serves that neighborhood, and it does not.
No,
It serves that
it's-
whole region of the eastern part of Franklin.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, approve of the recommendation?
Second.
Proper motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 8, consideration of change order number 3, final for the Southeast Corridor Water System Improvements and Booster Station Project. City of Franklin contract number 2009-0059 for a decrease in the amount of $49,853.67. Mr. Parker?
This is the, excuse me, this is the main transmission main and booster station that we contracted out several years back to serve the southeastern portion of the city. It also will provide a line size such that we can use the new reservoir we built on Curd Lane. It was a separate project, but we need a larger line size to be able to get water there, to be able to fill it and et cetera better. So that's what this project is. And again, it has come in at a cost less than less than what the original contract was for, so.
When you talk about a new pressure zone, what are you saying?
You set your ground level reservoirs at a certain overflow elevation, and that sets your pressure. So this particular reservoir is, and I don't remember if it's like 20 to 30 feet, maybe even a little more than that, higher than the other reservoirs that we have. And the reason for that is we have some areas out there, such as Ladd Park. If you remember, we had some problems serving part of Ladd Park because of pressure, et cetera. Your overflow elevation basically needs to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 feet higher than your highest service elevation to have the proper 20 pounds per square inch pressure. So this reservoir was built higher with the overflow where we could serve the area. The Berry Farms southeastern quadrant project, and I can't remember that, I can never remember that, Chadwell or something. So anyway, they have some apartments that will be multi-story that we also needed this higher elevation service for too. So that's what that was talking about.
When we have, when it comes out less than what was, yeah, when we have a deduct, what happens to that money?
It goes back in your funding for whatever else you want to have the monies for. I mean, it's just return, it's committed up until the time you do this, you do the final change order, so therefore the money becomes uncommitted then and you can use it for.
It's available resources for other
that's the right
projects.
Good,
term,
good,
available resources.
very good.
But it still would be within the water and sewer.
Yes.
It's all within the water capital program,
Oh,
so it just, yeah.
Well, for a water or sewer project,
Yeah.
yeah. For a street project, goes back to general fund or.
Right, depends on the
or-
nature of the project.
Or whatever fund it's being paid.
Good.
How many houses do we serve with water in Ladd Park?
There is, I think we have,
How many?
we're to serve, I believe the number is 108, is somewhere right around 100.
Okay.
But, and I think it was 108.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number either, but it's a little over 100.
Out of the 20, what are we building out there? 1,700, 2,000?
Oh, I don't remember.
Remember,
The
Ann?
total households. I'd have to get you that.
Okay. Good.
But it's a small part.
Yeah, I was just, because you were talking about building it 100 feet above, and by and large, we serve a very small percentage of Ladd Park with water.
Correct. But it will also, it's also needed a higher elevation because of the apartments that have been approved for that other part of Berry Farms
Okay.
project, so.
I just had a question about what was being referred to as a reservoir, but whatever all the rest of us call the water tank.
Yeah.
Is that in service?
The new one,
Yeah, it's not, is it?
Go
They-
ahead, Marco. Had some.
I just wondered about the status of it.
The current reservoir, or excuse me, the new reservoir is not in service
Water tank.
currently. Water tank, I'm sorry. The development, when it's stalled down, well, throughout the country, the issue is if you bring a reservoir of that size on, you run into water quality issues, which requires a lot more operation maintenance. The existing tank was, we decided to leave that in service. The new tank is currently being brought online. The the line going up the tank was brought into service a few weeks ago, and they're working on the tank right now. So it should be.
the other issue is, and one reason for not doing it before is we still don't have the proper line size that we want all the way to this new water tank. That was being, we have the 16-inch on the west side along Paytonsville Road, and we were going to bring the line across I-65 at the point where we were trying to do the underpass from Long Lane to Old Paytonsville Road, and that has not been done. So we still have some water line work that we would really like to get done before we need to get it done before there's a lot of usage out of that water tank. Excuse me, I will try to remember to call it a water tank. But that's another reason, but it's like it just wasn't necessary and it would cause problems if we used it from before.
Just wondered.
And that
But it is there.
the existing, or the previous water tank
Right.
reservoir is then going to be still used, transition, we're gonna talk a little bit
We
about.
expect to bring that that tank online as a reclaimed water tank. And it's a 500,000 gallon tank. While it won't serve necessarily the needs of that region for reclaimed water, it'll help us serve that area and float pressure off of that tank. So
Yeah.
But we have no water pressure issues, because we had water pressure issues a couple of years
No,
ago.
we have this last.
we had them this past summer as well.
Okay,
For a brief period of time, and we were able to jockey the system to make sure.
But with the booster station that this is a part of this project, which was not online when you were
Correct.
having the problem this last summer, it will help alleviate that. Not necessarily going to all the time, but it shouldn't be a problem that we had before.
The way this system is intended to work, you have the tank up on the hill. The booster station essentially serves the tank. It will fill the tank when the pressure is reduced to a certain level. The tank gets filled, and then the community is served from the tank, not necessarily directly from the booster station. So the pump really serves the tank serves the customers, and that's, I guess, the easiest way to do it.
Alderman Skinner.
Okay, so the question is, once we get all this online with the new reservoir, then the pressure problems in Lad Park should be a thing of the past.
Yes, sir. Barring
And
any
it's not
problems.
an issue about not enough customers and not turning the water over enough in the reservoir, that we can't, that's not an issue.
That's the reason we don't have it. Oh, no.
We are still.
That's right.
We are still going to have turnover issues. We have turnover issues in other water tanks around the city. So, and that's something that we're addressing as a part of our IWRP, is how best to approach taking care of those situations. We're having the same problem. Actually, the worst place we have is the reservoir water tank that serves the insurance servants for the hospital, or the Curd Lane Reservoir. So it's something we'll be dealing with over the next year or so to get all that handled to where we can where we don't have the turnover problem. So
With the things that are under construction now in Berry Farms in this phase, will that help stabilize that usage and turnover?
It will, yes. I mean, we decided not to bring the tank on simply because we didn't see the growth happening immediately. As we get more growth on, it's a 2 million gallon tank that's up there. And, we want to make sure that we have enough customers to use it. We don't necessarily have to keep the tank at a full level initially. The elevation of that tank will still be able to provide adequate pressures in Lad Park. But, so we may not fill it all the way to the top in the initial, but as we get more and more customers online, we'll be doing that. But yes,
Any other questions?
Yes.
I move that we recommend this to the board for approval.
Proper motion second. That is a decrease in the contract amount of $49,853.67. Proper motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 9, consideration of change order number 4 for the Franklin ITS Phase 1 American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. ARRA Project, City of Franklin Contract Number 2010-0091 for an increase in the contract amount of $13,730 and an additional 15 days.
this
Parker,
is.
your name's on there again.
Yeah, we just found it's easier if we do it that way. This is for the ARA project, and this is where we had gone out to get some additional or different type equipment to change from analog to digital for the video. And the contractor is at no fault on this, and we need the additional days to where he can get all the work done after the equipment gets in. The additional cost, if I'm not mistaken, is basically for him to be able to come back. Where'd Kevin go? For him to basically remobilize, because he's, it's been such a delay, he's had to go do other work, and so that's what the additional cost is. It is something that we as the city chose to do to make this a a better operation for use by all departments in the future in the city versus just one.
So this delay and additional costs will yield a better product for the city as a
Yes,
whole.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Move for approval.
Proper motion and a second, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Item 10, consideration of change order number 2 for the Nickel Mill Lane Improvement Project. City of Franklin contract number 2010-0180 for a contract time extension of 120 calendar days.
If you recall, we split this project up in a phase 1 and a phase 2. Phase 1, which gets us past the entrances into the Academy Sports building, or parking lot, et cetera, has been completed except for topping, I think, on Mallory Lane, where we've done the milling work. Phase 2 is the remaining part of the project, and with problems that have occurred due to utility relocations, and basically what it boils down to, we had some utilities that put installations in after we had surveying, so we didn't really know about it until we actually doing the construction. So that has caused delays, and the delays now have caused us to get into the winter months where asphalt plants shut down. So we're looking at a time extension that allow for the contractor to go through the winter months until we get to the spring when the asphalt plants open back up, and then we can get the asphalt to finish out the paving. He'll be completing the project in the meantime, other than paving.
Dave, when utilities are added like that, don't they have to come to the city?
They're supposed to.
Well, what happens if they don't?
That we run into problems like this.
Some of the utilities were also
Recourse.
private services to Academy Sport that weren't necessarily picked up as part of the survey, but at this point, all the utilities are out of the way, and there should not be any more reason for delay on this project.
Alderman Skinner.
I forget the name of the company that's in the biomedical zone now. Is this going to Biomedics. Is this going to complicate issues for them if we suspend this until the spring?
They've been real good with us, and we've been working with them. They're aware of what's all going on, but they'll still be able to get good access. They can get the access, it just won't be a completed project.
So they're not anticipating, at one time they thought there would be a surge in additional usage at that facility.
They are in the
Because of the
process,
product,
they are in the
that's not a
process, I
concern.
think, of doing another
They have a
building.
third
or
building.
Getting it set up at least to start, so I don't know exactly where they are in that process, but they are working on it, yes.
But they're good with this delay to spring.
Well, they'd rather not have it, but of course, they still have good access.
They'll maintain the access they
Right,
have right
yeah,
now. We haven't been able to
Is
make
that
the
from the other
improvements.
end, so other side?
So,
They had access from the Cool Springs,
Yeah.
Nickel Mill
It's,
intersection.
yeah, it's from
intersection.
Mallory Lane.
And the good news is the part of it that would affect the holiday traffic is.
It's completed.
that's why
the
we
reason
did
we
phase
split it
one.
up into phase 1 and phase 2, yes.
Very good.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Proper motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Item 11, consideration of professional services agreement with Little John Engineering Associates, LEA, for the Eastern Flank Battlefield Access Improvement Project, City of Franklin, contract number 2010-0098.
This is the never-ending saga. As you're aware, we received a grant from TDOT for the roadway. With that, we had to go back with the contractor because we have to meet some TDOT standards of how things are done, et cetera.